Welcome back to Dr. Chao's YouTube channel. This is Dr. Chao from Howard County Board of Education. In this channel, I'm going to interview our high school graduates who graduated from Howard County Public School System. I want them to share their experience, their challenges, their achievement, and their advice for our incoming high school students. This YouTube channel will focus on student voice and student experience. I hope this interview will help you, both our parents and the students, to navigate through your high school life. Today, we are going to interview Mr. Ian Lang, who graduated from Wilde Lake High School in 2019. He's attending University of Maryland, Baltimore County. His major is mathematics and economics. Hi, welcome, Ian. Thanks for taking the time speaking with me. Can you have a self-introduction?
Hi, I'm Ian Lang. I obviously go to University of Maryland, Baltimore County as a mathematics and economics major. In high school, I used to do a lot of music stuff, choir, guitar, and I found those to be very fun, stress-relieving activities between the academic classes.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate you take the time speaking with me. So my first question for you, what was your biggest challenge in your senior year? How did you overcome that?
So I think that my personal biggest challenge in my senior year was I started taking chamber choir at Wilde Lake, which is like a GT level choir course. And I felt like it was very stressful because I'm not the most confident person when it comes to performing. I like to do it, but I get very nervous. So, and the issue is I was afraid of not having the right range and letting the rest of my choir down because I wasn't pulling my own weight. And it's a much smaller class, so you stand out a lot more than any of the other choir classes. And I think that practice at school really helped. And I also joined the a barbershop group with some of the people in my chamber choir, and we did some performances in like the concerts and stuff. And I think that a lot of those extra performances and practices really helped me to build up some confidence in myself, and be able to actually have a voice in front of people.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm not good at singing as well, so I think I attended some choirs, so I just said, okay, the best approach, like speak quietly. So what was your biggest challenge in your whole high school year? How did you overcome that?
Well, I would say that the class that gave me the most problems was English. I never really thought I was a bad English student. I felt like the work in an English class, there was either a lot of work or it required a lot of deep thought, and it just made it a lot more stressful for me. In fact, my freshman year, I got my first C for like a quarter grade, and that really stressed me out, and my parents had like a meeting with the teacher. I actually tried quite a few different things throughout high school. I started out in a GT English class for freshman year, and then I went down to an honors English course for my next year because I thought that maybe lowering the level would allow me to get the grades that I want. But I think the biggest issue for me in English is when I'm not motivated in a class, because I don't enjoy it as much, I tend to procrastinate the work a lot more. And so when I procrastinate the work, I put out something that is lower quality. And I think that was my biggest problem. I think that I still didn't get my grades exactly where I wanted them to in English, but I went back up to an AP level course later in high school. For the most part, in my senior year, I felt like I could coast through pretty easily, not have to focus too heavily on English in order to get successful grades.
So you see improvement over the time because after you realize the problem, you really just first find the pace with your capability. Then you gradually raise the bar a little bit. I see. So do you read a lot?
I am not a big reader, actually. Probably the most reading I've ever done in like a summer was when I had a broken foot and I didn't really have many other options. I couldn't walk around and do stuff. So my parents gave me some Harry Potter books to read while I was stuck in bed. But for the most part, I don't spend my time reading unless I have a book assigned to me or something.
I see. So you don't enjoy reading a lot?
Not very much, but if I find the right book, then I'll be sitting down for a while reading it.
I see. I think I watched like Harry Potter, the movie first. Then I looked at the book, so many pages, it's tough. Then my daughter said, you need to read it, you need to read it. So eventually I read 3 books. I just feel it's kind of interesting. Reading definitely takes much longer and just not as easy as just watching movies.
Yeah, my dad's a pretty big reader, and we were watching some of the movies like on live TV the other day, and he's sitting there saying, that's not how it happened in the books, like every other second. And I just found it pretty interesting that he knows all the little details that were kind of off between the movie and the books.
That's the very exceptional capability. You read the book, you memorize the details, and it's just not easy. I think. Thanks for sharing that. So can you share one very unique academic experience? For example, maybe one class and one seminar or one project?
So I would say that probably one of the best classes for me was calculus. I would say probably BC. It was a lot more difficult than AB in my opinion because I didn't really see the purpose in some of the techniques like Taylor and Maclaurin polynomials and convergence of series. I didn't know how often I'd be using stuff like that, but I had this teacher. She is very strict, but she's incredible. She is known for getting like all of her students 5s on their AP exams. And I really feel like having her in that class has really prepared me for a lot of the classes I have to take in college. In fact, I feel like in some cases I'm ahead of the students taking the classes that I'm in. And one thing that particularly I remember is she would have like a 2-week period where we just take all of the previous AP exams. We have like the multiple choice and then like the free response, and we would just do like a new one every single day for 2 weeks. It was brutal. And then you take the AP exam and you come into class the next day and she would give you an in-class AP exam as your final exam for the class. So while it was brutal, I appreciated it because she knew that everybody still had the information fresh in their minds, and it was a good time to give them the final exam so that way it would be easy, you know?
I see. the teacher know you can handle the pressure, right?
Mm-hmm. She made tests and quizzes 90% of your grade in in that class, and homework was actually 0. You didn't have to do the homework, but you would get a nice scolding from her if you didn't do your homework.
I see.
And that was probably my only problem with the course, because I felt like there was less motivation to do the homework, and that's just free practice, you know? Like, I feel like everybody should do the homework even if they don't want to, because it really keeps the stuff fresh in your mind, so you don't have to cram before the exams.
Very interesting, because when I was in high school and before we call the college entrance exam, we took a lot of tests for preparation, right? It's kind of every week you take some tests. It's really help you both mentally ready and then practice something, because some materials you may forget, but this test will help you to review the materials and get that in your mind. So my next question for you, can you share some extracurricular activities?
Okay, so I took the choir class and the guitar class. So when you're in any of the choir classes, you're also a part of a group called chorale, which is an after-school choir. It's like a culmination of all the choir classes that meet after school. And you're also graded on showing up for those practices and the choir concerts. So that was kind of difficult because a lot of people were not super willing to show up to the after school practices, and it would really get on the choir teacher's nerves, and he'd lecture everybody in class and all. But overall, I think it was a good experience being in the like big choir, and you get to work with people of all different levels, so, and help each other, so that's nice. With guitar, we have performances that you're graded on. There's coffee house performances, which are it's like a meeting around like sometime in the evening after school. You and your band will perform a song you've been working on in class. You'll receive a grade, and I think it's basically all like a participation thing. It's if you're struggling or you get super nervous up on stage and you mess up a lot, you're not going to get faulted for that. It's just good fun. And then there's like the talent show performances as well, and you can even get like top 3 and feel really good about yourself if you place up there. And then lastly, in my senior year, I joined Mu Alpha Theta, which is the Math Honor Society. And I would have to show up after school to help students struggling in their math classes. In order to get hours, I needed, I think, was it 50 hours by the end of the school year or something? And what was really interesting about working with the students of all the different math classes is you have to remember everything that you learned from like geometry. So you're up in calculus or something, and they're doing geometry homework, and you don't remember all these rules for finding the angle measures. So you have to look up the theorems and be like, oh, so this is how you do it. It's like you're reteaching yourself. So I got to relearn some old math techniques that I hadn't had to use in a long time. So that was pretty nice too.
I see. You want to make sure you understand before you teach others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So is that for the students, like needing help? Are they high school students or middle school or?
They are other high school students
Mm,
of various levels.
I see.
So I think the high school classes, it'll go from, I think, maybe pre-algebra
Mm.
into into differential equations in some schools. Yeah, you could be working with somebody in the same class as you, or you might be working with somebody in a class you haven't taken for years.
I see. So it's kind of very interesting. I think
Yeah.
it's really helps the students help each other, right? And for students who helps others, it's really help yourself as well because
Mhm,
you need to learn how to help others and try to pick up something you may forget, right? Reinforce the knowledge you learned before.
mhm.
Thanks for sharing that. So, do you have any advice to share with incoming high school students?
I think that one of the most important things for high school students to know is that you don't need to know like what you're going to do for the rest of your life when you're in high school. I feel like there's a lot of pressure for high school students to decide what they want to do because that that kind of determines stuff like what college you're going to go to and what your major is going to be, what classes you should be focusing on in high school as well. Um, I'm in college right now, and I'm taking the majors that I'm taking because I enjoy them, but I don't have an idea yet of what I want my job to be.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that I want to be doing something with those
Mm-hmm.
two majors. So I think that people should stop stressing as much about what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life and just try to focus on getting stuff done and doing well.
Mm-hmm. I see. So don't really have a really long-term plan, 10-year plan or something, because you really don't know, right? Have no idea
Mm-hmm.
what your future will look like. Thanks for sharing that. Why did you choose UMBC? Why did you choose mathematics and economics as your major?
Um, I UMBC honestly was not my first pick. I decided in like the summer of my junior year that I was interested in applying for the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado.
Mm,
This was still part of like me not knowing what I wanted to do, and I think that kind of forced a, hey, military sounds like a good idea, but also I enjoy being active, so I'm like, this might work. And I realized that I was kind of far behind on getting ready to go to a school like that. You have to prepare for physical exams. You have to, I think you have to get like government sponsors and stuff. Um, Most of the students who apply are also like really involved in sports in high school, and I didn't
mm.
take any sports. It was definitely very stressful.
So
And
did you
I was
apply
like,
for it?
I ended up not applying because I knew that I was too far behind. And if I wanted to do that, I could always transfer. My second choice was going to be UMD, but I was very disorganized with my application process, and I ended up applying. I heard that I wanted to apply for early action because you're more likely to get in, but I had already missed the early action application for the fall semester.
Sorry to
So
hear
I
that.
applied for spring, and my parents were like, no, you're not going to school in the spring. You got to go to school in the fall. My last choice was UMBC, but now that I'm there, I very much enjoy it. I like that it's a smaller campus. I feel like it allows you to get around very quickly, and you have a much more difficult time getting lost on campus. But my original intent was I was going to try engineering in college, and I also knew that UMBC had a very good engineering department. My first major was engineering. I switched to math after that because I did not enjoy coding very much, and that's part of engineering. It was definitely a struggle for me, but yeah, I moved to math because I knew I liked math. I knew I liked it. I knew I was good at it. So it just made sense for me. Plus, I was already ahead with the AP credits. I took on the math major, and I was still doing a bit of experimenting last semester. I tried taking a bio class to see if I was interested in biology, and I found that it is not quite a field for me. But while taking economics as just something that might help me in the future, some knowledge, I found that I actually really enjoyed the class and it really clicked for me because it felt very logical. So I decided last semester to also take on an economics major because I felt like the two were very close knit, and they also shared a lot of core requirements. So it would be easy to complete a double major in mathematics and economics instead of like biology and mathematics, because I would have to take a bunch more classes. So
I see. Definitely for economics, there are a lot of math classes, right? Since you take math classes already, it really help you reduce your workload a little bit. Thanks for sharing that. I really wish you good luck in your college and in your future career as well. So my last question for you, do you have any advice for HTCPSs where they can change, where they can improve?
So throughout high school, I experienced a number of difficult events. In it, like there would be fights between students. There were a couple issues involving police at the school. I'm trying not to go into too many specifics. And then there was the teacher that passed away, and I just kind of felt like in some situations the staff would try to hide what had been occurring. And I feel like it's just a better idea to be honest with the students about what happens in the school, because the students who do know what happened are going to spread it around anyway. I never really understood the purpose in being vague when they make announcements about these big events. And I just think that being honest with the students will help more. I don't know everything that's considered by the staff when they make the announcements, but that's just my personal view.
Thanks for sharing that. So you want more transparent in terms of communication, right? Because if you're not transparent and not, that will create a kind of confusion or sometimes create some rumors. I forget to introduce your dog, right? Luna. Do you want to show Luna?
This is Luna.
Hi, Luna. Nice to see you.
She doesn't like to be held very much, so she's just kind of like, she wants me to put her back down.
Okay. Okay.
But
thank you. Do you have some closing remarks?
I think that people should really just try and focus on getting their work done on time, not be very stressed out about what the future is going to hold for them, because I think it'll allow them to focus more. And I also think that people should try to enjoy their high school experience, because looking back, I miss a lot of the activities I got to be a part of. I miss seeing friends every single day. Not that you don't in college, but you're in much bigger classes. There's less interaction between you and the other people in your classes. It was much more social, in my opinion, being in high school, and I miss that. Yes, I recommend that people take some classes that are fun and allow them to just relax.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they should take a class just because it's easy. Take something that you're interested in.
I see. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. And this is Dr. Tao's YouTube channel. In this channel, I'm focusing on student voice and their experience. I want their voice and experience will help you, our incoming high school student, to navigate through your high school life. Thank you very much, Yan. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for talking to me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.